games to prepare for conference play.
They were selected second in the preseason of the SoCon as the tap controlled by the Yellow Jackets, and we're underway. Second straight year Georgia Tech and Furman have met. Georgia Tech at 8-3 as Swartz lines it up, can't knock it down. The defensive rebound, Jada Session for the Paladins. As we take a look at your Furman starting five, Jalen Acker, leading freshman scorer in the SoCon, better than 14 points per game. Grace Van Ride, the graduate student, double figures in 8 straight contests at 13.5 per game. And here is Acker. Her first pull from deep is off the mark and out of bounds. And for Georgia Tech, no major changes to Nell Fortner's starting five. Swartz, Morgan, Jackson, Leah Love, and Aisha Woan Aranaz round out the five. Here is Jackson. She was 0 for 9 against Boston College. Misfires in her first attempt. Lee is there for the offensive rebound. She can't connect.
Well, that was a good job by Love, even though she missed, but was active on the offensive boards trying to attempt to get a putback.
Both teams want to contest the glass fiercely. Furman is good a rebounding team, particularly on the offensive end. As you'll find, Georgia Tech denies the offensive board there. Minute gone by, still no score. Swartz, another three, and this time it drops.
And that's what Georgia Tech needs to do. You see them being very intentional within their offensive sets, but moving the ball, getting Swartz a good look at the basket behind the arc.
You know, it had to be an emotional ACC opener for Cameron Swartz, the Marietta, Georgia native who played her previous 3 seasons at Boston College. I'm sure she had hoped to give a better account of herself. Fallon did lead the Jackets with 14 points, but 2 of 13 from the field. As that three is off the mark, the pull was from James, the rebound to the Jackets.
Well, that's difficult for any player to go back to their former school to play a game, especially on the road. It was her first time back. But, you know, Coach Burnaby McNamee was prepared. She knows Cameron Swartz pretty well, so probably had a decent game plan in order to defend her in that game.
I'm sure the scouting report was a little more detailed for Cameron Swartz than the average, and it slingshotted across to Jackson, trying to find her touch from 3, and she knocks it down.
And that's great to see her going early. 0 for 9 in that game against BC on the road, but today we see that three-point shot looking pretty good.
And that has to be an encouraging early start for Nell Fortner. Like we said, Swartz and Jackson have combined 2 of 22 in the loss to BC. They each have a 3, and the Jackets lead by 6. Here's Janae Outen, defended by Morgan. A 3 by Acker, rims off. And the tap controlled by the Jackets. Furman, by the way, 5th in the nation in offensive rebounds per game. They pound the glass as Jackson drops in the mid-range, and it's an 8-0 start for Tech.
Yeah, Furman definitely pounds the, goes hard to the glass. But Georgia Tech to start this game, they've done a good job of limiting Furman just to one shot, boxing out and cleaning up the defensive boards.
Yeah, that was front and center in Nell Fortner's scouting report. Alden sends up James for 3, and that's pure. Sydney James, only 2 for her last 21 from 3, but like you said, Fallon, coming off a career-high 22 points in the overtime win over Radford.
Well, this Furman team, they're not afraid to shoot the three-point shot. A lot of three-pointers have been shot this season from Furman, but they're going to find ways to score, and James still trying to see if she had a heat check in this game, shooting that last 3.
Foul on the collision goes against Jada Session, the sophomore from Locust Grove, Georgia. It's Furman's first of the quarter. As Fallon, we unveil your keys to the game. Well,
for Furman, they need to crash the boards. They lead, are one of the top teams in the nation with offensive boards. They're very tough in crashing the boards hard, and they need to limit baseline drives for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, that's their bread and butter to try and open up and get baskets in the paint. And for Georgia Tech, they need to work in concert to box out. So far, doing a great job in this game, and they need to establish a post presence, something they have not really done this season with Hermosa and the likes of other post players in Woan Aranaz.
Layup by Session makes it 10-5 Jackets. Sets up Woan Aranaz on the step out. Jackson has 5 early. Can't find the mark from 3, but there's a loose ball foul. They'll tag Janae Allen for it. And she was arm barring with Aaliyah Love. The sophomore collects her first, team second.
Yeah, she was right there trying to box out Woan Aranaz, and it was a difficult situation. Very undersized in that situation, but instead picks up a foul early.
Caleb Blackshear subs in for the first time, drops it off to Swartz. Offensive rebound, Morgan powers it back up, gets it again, off glass, no, but a foul called. Tonie Morgan, the freshman, she is athletic, and Nell Porter will be the first to tell you that athleticism paid dividends there.
Oh, a former high jumper. Look at the athleticism, getting her own miss, but 2 offensive rebounds. Was not able to connect, but drew the foul, going to the free throw line for 2 shots. But that's just another showing of this freshman's ability. And she's quick, has quick hops to get up to get offensive boards.
True freshman from Tallahassee, Florida. She also pins the second foul on the point guard, Janae Alton.
And that's not good for Furman. Alton picking up 2 early fouls. See what Coach Carson has to do.
A 2 of 2 trip for Morgan, who is a 72% free throw shooter. He's also been very good, very precocious at getting to the free throw line as a freshman. That foul on Jackson there midcourt, her first. Paraskevy Kalia takes over for Alton. The point guard from Athens, Greece, walks it across. Kalia wants the high-low. Instead serves it to Acker. Lightning quick. Swartz trying to stay tethered to her. Oh, James finds a seam, rolls it in.
And that was a great move by Sydney James. She just broke Georgia Tech's zone, dribbled straight to the basket, and a nice finish at the rim.
Swartz, no good. And James there to pull down the rebound. And what makes James's play even more impressive is that she's been battling some plantar fasciitis. Coach Carson told us yesterday she's maybe 60%. I think Radford might object to that 60% description. After the 22 and 12, Swartz again from the corner, no good. She's letting them fly early. That is already a 6th three-point attempt by Cameron Swartz in the opening 5+ minutes.
Yeah, Georgia Tech, I think, settling for the three-point shot a little too much early in this one. They need to see if they can get some touches inside within their offensive sets, but they've really been pushing the basketball. Nice steal by Jackson.
Yeah, easy pickings for her. Beats Morgan on the run. The wave off the basket, offensive foul. As Kalia took the charge and a little shaken up at the end of the play. Foul is the first on Morgan. Kalia sacrifices her body to deny the bucket. Jackets up by 5, just underway in Atlanta.
With the award-winning Geico mobile app.
Taken over some games this year, had 24 versus Belmont, 22 the next game versus Michigan State in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Now 28 points from 1,000 for her career. Jackets lead by 5. Kalia clutches, trapped in the corner by Hermosa, and she forces her to step on the sideline.
And that was a great job by Hermosa, especially in that zone defense. Trapping, which is looking like a matchup zone for Georgia Tech, where they are switching, being intentional and helping, dropping when they need to get out on the shooters, and that was just a good job by Hermosa.
Hermosa takes the lob on the high-low. It's swatted away, out of bounds. Georgia Tech will retain, although that's something you prescribe, Fallon, seeing if Georgia Tech can generate more post touches with the likes of Hermosa.
They do. I mean, against BC, she only took 4 shots. That game was 1 for 4, I believe, but they need to give her more touches, more looks, even if it is to draw the defense inside to open up the outside for the likes of Swartz and Jackson for shots.
Dunn also in off the Georgia Tech bench. She roped it to Jackson. Shot clock winding down off the glass. No, Hermosa there for the stick back, and she's fouled over the top.
And that's good to see. Hermosa, this is the most active I think I've seen her in the last few games, but crashing the boards hard, getting off offensive putbacks or attempts, and now she just drew the foul going to the free throw line for 2 shots.
Personal is the first on James. Hermosa had 6 points, 7 rebounds against BC, but it was quiet like you said. Made all 4 of her free throws, but just 3 field goal attempts. And a season high 8 points in Georgia Tech's last home game versus Central Michigan.
And she's a capable scorer. You know, a season ago averaged around 10 points a game. So I know Coach Fortner is looking for that type of productivity as well as the rebounding, and she's a solid defensive player as well for Georgia Tech.
She's also having to adjust to playing without her running mate in the front court in Lorella Kubai.
That's a huge adjustment. Lorella Kubai took a lot of pressure off of Hermosa, especially on the defensive end.
That one jumped in and out on Sydney Ryan, the freshman. Rebound claimed by the Jackets. Quick entry. It's Blackshear with the left hand.
And I like that. That was a good feed to Blackshear. She has really solid footwork when she gets established in the paint. And we just saw it there with that turnaround to the basket. Nice finish for Blackshear.
That's something Nell Fordner told us when we talked with her yesterday. Kayla Blackshear exceptionally light on her feet. The step back by Acker, and she swishes it over Swartz.
Wow.
Jalen Acker, now she's the leading freshman scorer in the SoCon for a reason, Fallon. She is a bucket getter.
She is, and that looked good. A nice little jump shot. Get her going in this game.
Swartz answers right back over the top of her.
And that's what Swartz needs to do. The three wasn't falling as much, but took a couple dribbles in and hit that mid-range.
Trying to cling to Acker. The transfer from Cal Baptist. She sets up James for a topside three. It's off the mark, and a loose ball foul against Furman. That is something Georgia Tech has executed really well in these opening 7+ minutes. Furman, 5th in the nation in offensive rebounds per game. Paladins still have not gotten one.
And that's great. They've been intentional. We know that was from the scouting report that Georgia Tech needed to box out, find their player, and put a body on them when shots go up. And they've done a good job to start this game.
It was also the 5th foul of the quarter against the Paladins, so it puts Blackshear to the line. Sophomore from Orlando, Florida. Team high 86% at the line, now 20 of 23. And the Jackets have opened up a 9-point lead.
Yeah, Blackshear is just a solid player for Georgia Tech. She does the things she needs to do, just playing her role, rebounding, playing solid defense, and being able to knock down free throws.
Enrolled between semesters last year, so she was with the program during ACC play last year, but not eligible. Georgia Tech forces the turnover off the trap as Dunn slices in, but gets rejected by Van Rye. Grace Van Rye with a team-high 14th block of the season, though Georgia Tech to retain.
And that was a good job by Van Rye to anticipate that penetration by Dunn, but I still like the move Dunn made, being aggressive, going to the basket to see what she can make happen.
A kick out to Swartz, passes on the three, pulls up from the mid-range instead, loose ball foul, and looks like it's going on the Paladins. It will, Van Rye. Now the Paladins normally used to imposing their will on the glass. It's been the other way around, Fallon, in this first quarter.
Yeah, Georgia Tech, you have to applaud their effort. They have been intentional, crashing the boards hard on the offensive end, and then boxing out on the defensive end to secure rebounds. And, you know, Georgia Tech's not too shabby of a rebounded team themselves, but when you're going against the 5th team in the nation for offensive rebounds, you have to be conscientious of that and make sure that you box out and crash hard.
And Blackshear continues to cash in at the foul line. Jackets 7 of 8 from the free throw stripe in this first half. They lead by a dozen. Already one of the highest scoring first quarters of the season for Nell Fordner's club. Pass was batted by Dunn, recovered by Morgan, ahead to Dunn. Beautifully done.
I like that. I mean, how athletic is Dunn? She's on the front of that zone, able to get a deflection, and then finishes on the other end with the layup.
And Nell Fordner has some promising freshmen in her rotation, Tonie Morgan and Kara Dunn. And even Nell told us they are more advanced than she thought they would be at this stage in the season, with Kara Dunn more athletic, more of a slasher than even she thought when she recruited her out of Dallas, Georgia.
Right, and both of those players are capable of getting their own. They don't have to necessarily be set up, but right now in their roles, they're just playing the game plan and finding opportunities and maximizing on those opportunities when they come.
Furman trying to snap an 8-0 Georgia Tech run. Kalia's marooned in the corner. Slips it to Acker with a shot clock at 10. Back to Kalia. She'll pull the trigger. A long offensive rebound. First offensive board of the quarter by the Paladins. But it turns into a turnover as Hermosa fronts the post. Aviance Carter. At her career high 14 points against Furman last season. Drops it off to Morgan. A Georgia Tech team that did not lead against Boston College on Sunday. A very sharp start in spite of that turnover. As we come inside of a minute.
Yeah, that gets that game with BC. You know, you're coming off of finals and everything else. Now they've had an opportunity to regroup and just focus on basketball.
Acker jammed up. Quick hands by Morgan, forces the jump ball. Possession arrow keeps it with Furman.
And I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Georgia Tech. Very active hands early in this one on the defensive end, getting a lot of deflections and making it difficult for Furman to get looks in the paint.
Well, Fordner told us that she really wanted to see her team play more disciplined coming out of that Boston College game, and up and down the box score, the numbers have supported that. A 14-point lead, pass to the top was tipped. It's retrieved by Ryan. Has to hurry on Morgan. Lets it fly. It was online, little strong rebound to the Jackets.
And that was a great defensive showing by Morgan to force that difficult shot and a missed three.
And now the shot clock is off. Georgia Tech a chance to extend this 8-0 run. Morgan off a high middle screen from Hermosa. Turns the corner. Feeds done. Out it comes. Nice sidestep by Carter. Gets the bounce. No.
That was a great one. That was a great one. You can't ask for much more. Carter did a great job taking a couple of dribbles in to get a good look at the basket. Unfortunately, it just didn't go in.
Now, there was a lot to like, though, for the Yellow Jackets in those opening 10 minutes. Cam Swartz contributing offensively. And the Jackets lead by 14 through 1.
Great job by Georgia Tech in this first quarter. In the first quarter, they were really intentional about boxing out. And that was on the scouting report. When you see a team that's this active on the offensive boards, you better be aware and you better find somebody pretty quickly.
Almost had a backcourt violation on the inbound there. Oh, great steal by Dunn. Off the dish from Hermosa.
I'm telling you, whatever she's doing at practice, she's picking up on some intangibles early in this freshman season.
Quick trigger three is no good by Furman. It rattles out of bounds, and it will stay with Furman. Kara Dunn, back-to-back games in double figures, and the freshman now has 4. Nice touch.
Against Acker, she just had a nice seal, knew she had the post position and the size in the paint, and capitalized.
And now Acker is tied up, jump ball. Arrow keeps it with the Paladins. Georgia Tech up by 16 in spite of only shooting 38%, but they're +7 on the boards. They forced 5 Furman turnovers in the first quarter. Very sharp, coordinated defensive effort by Nell Fordner's team.
Yeah, and that's something that she probably definitely highlighted after the BC game, that they needed to focus on what they know they're good at. This team's still trying to figure out their identity, but Georgia Tech has always been a pretty solid defensive team.
Shot clock at 4. Kalia goes to work on Hermosa, and the runner doesn't fall. And another defensive rebound, this time from Morgan.
I just love how you see bodies for Georgia Tech just fly into the basket for rebounds. They are intentional on crashing and crashing hard.
A lot of physicality. Hermosa tied up, still gets it through and in.
And that was a great job by Hermosa. Kept her positioning and was able to make that catch with 2 defenders on her to finish in the paint.
And once again, Furman out of control, results in a turnover. An 18-point Georgia Tech lead is a 12-0 run from the end of the first quarter. Something Jackie Carson told us yesterday before her team's practice. Her team needs to box out, eliminate the easy baskets, off offensive rebounds, off free throws. So far, it has not been to her liking, as that tap is kept alive, but Dunn was over the top, and they'll whistle the freshman for the foul.
Yeah, and that was an easy call to make. Kara Dunn was trying to get another offensive rebound, but reached over the back of the player boxing her out.
Her first of the quarter against the Jackets. Evie DePietro in for the first time for Furman, the 5'9" junior from Knoxville, Tennessee. Acker was held scoreless in that first quarter. Came in averaging better than 14 points a game. Here's the 3, Van Rye. Clangs it no good. A tumble under the basket as Morgan and Session got tangled up. Will tag the foul on Tonie Morgan, and that's her second.
But Morgan is just taking it old school, finding her player and immediately putting a body on the player that she's defending as the shot goes up, but this time gets called for the foul. But you got to see what Furman is trying to figure out, some way to get the ball in the paint to get some looks. And right now, Georgia Tech has done a great job with this zone matchup or switching on screens and just playing solid defense just like that in the paint.
Now Hermosa smothering Van Rye. Furman retains 12 to shoot.
And that was a great block by Hermosa in the paint. Good defense.
Very nonchalant reaction as well by Nerea Hermosa.
Yeah, we're not going to get those Lorella Kubai like shouts that she used to do when she got a block.
Quick high-low, Hermosa, extra pass caught her, grinding away on Van Rye, and she lays it in.
And that was a nice pass. We know Hermosa's a capable passer. Once she gets touches, she's going to make the right decision.
Van Rye, top catch, switches sides and lays it in.
That was a great job by Van Rye. Was able to get the lob and create some space between her and Hermosa and finishes on the opposite side of the basket.
First bucket for Grace Van Rye, the graduate student from Knoxville, Tennessee, as Hermosa throws it away. Grace Van Rye, and how valuable has she been to Jackie Carson's team? As we noted, a graduate student. She's working on her master's in strategic design at Furman. Tremendous story that Coach Carson told us yesterday. She was 100% certain Grace Van Rye was done with her basketball career. She had walked on senior day, getting ready to dip her toe into the real world. Coach Carson invited her back to work her Furman basketball camp. Started enjoying it, and then her team had a really flat practice that day over the summer. She made an off-the-cuff remark to Grace saying, "Hey, you don't want to come back, do you?" And Grace said, "Can I?" She said, "Yeah, you've got a COVID year." One thing led to another, and very unexpectedly, Grace Van Rye decided to suit up for one more year with the Paladins. How about that?
That's a big deal, and I'm sure Coach Carson was happy she mentioned it. To have her back on this squad, her leadership, the intangibles, they've needed it, especially with this group this season.
It's almost an accidental addition. Skip to a wide open Dunn, and she rattles down the three.
I mean, I just love Kara Dunn's game. It's starting to improve game by game. She's getting more confident.
Hacker can't answer. Long Karam tracked down by the Jackets.
The ball was floating for a second. They didn't know who was going to grab it.
A three, by the way, was only Dunn's third of the year. Ines Noguera with the drive and dish. Here's Jackson with the pull-up, and everything falling for the Jackets. It's an 11-0 start to the quarter for Tech.
And they're doing a good job. Right now, they're just clicking on all cylinders, especially on the defensive end, but it's starting to create offensive opportunities for them on the offensive end as well.
11-2 start to quarter number 2. Van Rye, the post-up on Hermosa. A fadeaway spills off. Noguera the rebound. Georgia Tech also just imposing its will on the boards against a very good Furman rebounding team. Jackets orbited around Noguera. Off the screen from her countrywoman Hermosa. And a foul on the dribble drive as they'll tag Acker for the reach.
And you even see on that last possession, Furman has switched up to a zone rather than playing the man-to-man that they usually play and switching on screens because it's been too many inside the paint shots for Georgia Tech to start this one, so they probably want to limit some touches inside.
And you know you're operating at an efficient clip when you chase Jackie Carson's team out of her pack line defense.
Right.
Not a defensive look you see often in the women's game where they're playing pack line. They're switching 1 through 5. They're trying to funnel the action toward the middle. And Coach Carson even told us yesterday, I hate playing zone. Well,
yeah. You may have to look at your opponent when you see the size at Georgia Tech and how well they've been getting the ball inside to start this one.
A tie-up off the cut. It's a quick second foul on Jalen Acker. Now she and Alton each have 2 personals.
She's looking like, what? I fouled? No way.
Jackets on a 7-0 run. Noguera pulls the trigger. Rebound up for grabs. It cascades over the baseline to the Paladins.
And that was a good box out by Acker. She put her body right on Blackshear to make sure she couldn't get that rebound. And now Furman has another opportunity to see if they can capitalize in their offensive set.
It's an 11-2 start to the second quarter for the Jackets. Coach Carson told us yesterday, for whatever reason, her team has had bad second quarters. Doesn't know if it's a mental block or whatever else might be ailing them. And that was the case against their last game versus Radford. They led by 9 at the end of the first quarter. Outscored by 11 in the second. Went into halftime trailing.
Yeah, it's so crazy. You see the second and usually the third quarter where you'll see teams have mental lapses, but those are probably of the 2 most important quarters of the game.
That was charged to Won Adanaz, her first. Team's 4th. Van Rye with the isolation on Juan Arenas. Ryan gets the step on Swartz, swatted. A help defense by Blackshear. Shot clock at 3 for the Paladins.
And that was great help defense by Blackshear. Like I said, she does the intangibles for this Georgia Tech team. Doesn't need a lot of touches on the offensive end. Plays solid defense, and great job of Swartz cradling her player to the paint. Blackshear was right there.
And Van Rye can't squeeze it off in time. A shot clock violation on the Paladins. Coach Carson isn't convinced they got the full 3 seconds of the clock off the inbound.
Yeah, that was a quick shot clock violation.
Noguero's entry was batted away by Van Rye. Turnover, only Georgia Tech's 4th. Wild shot off the window, doesn't fall by Alden, but it's cleaned up by the Paladins and Ryan.
Yeah, that was a great job by Ryan. Sticking with it, following through, and getting an offensive rebound and put back.
True freshman, 3rd on the team in scoring at 9.3. Furman has had a freshman All-Southern Conference selection in 12 straight years. In between the redshirt freshman Acker, the true freshman Sydney Ryan, I think you can start penciling in a 13th straight year.
Yeah.
As we've come up on timeout, strong start to the second quarter for the Jackets. They've stretched their lead to 21 over the Paladins. Carson's senior year in 2000, they knew they'd be without Tiara Hodges this year, the consensus SoCon Player of the Year. She led the league in points and rebounds, but then a pair of unfortunate injuries in the preseason. Tate Walters, 2-time All-SoConference, Southern Conference, who led the league in assists last year. Achilles injury, she's out for the season. Nevaeh Henley, who started 15 of their last 16 games, a season-ending knee injury, and that has certainly forced some adjustments for the 13th-year head coach Jackie Carson. As out of the timeout, Bianca Jackson, pure from deep.
Yeah, Jackson is continuing to shoot the ball well, but those injuries are very tough, especially when you have the expectations of having those players in your lineup, and then to lose them in the preseason to injuries like an Achilles and knee, that could be devastating.
Their ambitions are unchanged, still trying to dethrone Mercer, who beat them in the Southern Conference Tournament Championship a year ago. Offensive rebound and the foul on the stick back. That was Sydney James getting in tight. And the foul on Aaliyah Love.
That's good to see Sydney James still being active. The foul going to the free throw line for 2 shots. But Furman has to get something going on the offensive end. They've been pretty staggering in this first half and not getting a lot of opportunities in the paint, or just shot opportunities where they could get good looks. And you have to applaud Georgia Tech's defense in this half. They've done a great job.
James splits the pair. Offensive rebound, Van Rye. Out it comes to DePietro. Misfires on the 3, but another offensive rebound, Ryan. Now we're starting to see that attack mentality on the offensive glass from the Paladins. Still keeping it alive. Got a collision there. We'll see who's charged for the foul. Looks like it's staying on this end, and it will be on Aviance Carter.
Well, AC was rushing in, it seems like, and bumps into James as she was trying to crash for that defensive board. But Furman was very active on that possession, crashing the boards, getting second chance opportunities. Even one time, someone got the rebound, pulled out, and went behind the three-point line and shot a 3.
Jackets over the limit, and free throws once again for James. 69% at the line this year. Out of Ocala, Florida, and she comes away empty-handed. Former SoCon Freshman of the Year back in 2021. Does lead the Paladins with 6 points, 6 rebounds. And Swartz rounded out from 3. In a bit of a struggle for Cam Swartz. That makes her 1 of 7 from beyond the arc.
Yeah, ever since she hit that opening three-pointer in the first quarter, she hasn't been able to knock another one down.
This coming after a 1-for-8 3-point performance versus Boston College. You can understand her desire to rediscover her stroke or most of the block underneath. And Swartz leads the transition. Jackson, 11 first-half points. Initiates the offense for the Yellow Jackets. Hermosa from the elbow, rims out. Rebound to Petro.
And Furman did a good job of pushing Georgia Tech's offense up. not allowing them to get deep in the paint, making them start out at the free throw line.
Oh, and a hook called on Van Rye on that twirl baseline against Hermosa.
Well, Van Rye is really working. That's a matchup between her and Hermosa. Hermosa has the height advantage against Van Rye, but Van Rye is working very hard to try and establish a post presence for Furman in the paint.
The second foul on Grace Van Rye, second team All-SoCon a year ago. Inside of 3 minutes, first half, Georgia Tech on top by 22. Carter, no. Hermosa had the inside position. And looks like a loose ball foul called on Van Rye, yes. Which will send Hermosa to the line for free throws.
Well, I think you have to applaud Hermosa. She's been active in this game, making it very difficult for Furman to guard or put a body on her. She already has the height advantage, but when she's active, because she's a mobile post and moving like she is in this game, she's very tough to deal with.
Hermosa knocks the first one down, 67% at the line for the senior from Vitoria, Spain. Had a double-double on this date last year against Boston College with 14 points and 10 rebounds.
Oh, wow.
Second one jumps out. Georgia Tech has held Furman to 2 of 15 shooting in the second quarter. Now hounding out. Top 12 in the nation in assisted turnover ratio. Tough finish by James with a hand in her face.
That was a great move by James, and she was intentional to try and score the basketball, trying to get her teammates hyped up, clapping up on the defensive end to see if they can get another stop.
8 points, 8 first-half rebounds for Sydney James. Coming off the career-high 22 points and 12 rebounds in their overtime win versus Radford. Swartz flash stats. He wraps around the screen from Blackshear and has her pocket picked by Ryan.
But you said it. Georgia Tech needs to do a better job on setting those screens, head-hunting, making sure they screen a body. And on that last one, Blackshear didn't really screen off Swartz's defender.
Hermosa with a quick post-up in transition, splits a pair and lays it in.
And that is what Nerea Hermosa can do. Once she gets great positioning in the paint, she's capable of scoring around the basket.
Hermosa 6 points in the first half. Active hands on the wing against Van Rye. Swung around to Ryan for a contested three. DePietro races in for the offensive board. Boy, Van Rye and Hermosa are battling on the block, are they not? And that's an offensive foul on Van Rye as she sent a wipeout screen on Cam Swartz. That might have been a frustration foul on that pick.
Yeah, I think it was. You see this move by Hermosa, one-on-one, gets positioning and just moves Van Rye out the way for the lay-in. Hermosa's been active on the offensive end for Georgia Tech in this one.
By the way, that foul is a third on Van Rye. So she takes a seat. Off the back cut, Dawn can't track it down, a turnover.
And it seems like on that one, Petro got away with the hole on Dunn as she was trying to escape back door. Grab that hand. It's a nifty play.
Ryan draws Hermosa on the switch. Ryan, a natural guard. Jackie Carson has turned her into a stretch forward, trying to emulate Tierra Hodges and her career arc at Furman. Shot clock down to 5. Out to Ryan for 3. And the rebound, Blackshear.
That was a good look for Ryan. She just couldn't knock it down.
Noguero, mid-range, pull up, good. Ines Noguero, just her 9th field goal of the season, makes it a 41-point first half for Tech.
But Noguero, she's capable of knocking down that shot. A good, solid shooter for Georgia Tech. And capitalizes on the opportunities when she does have a chance to shoot a shot.
Final seconds of the first half. James, penned in baseline. Tries to free herself undone. Misses on the scoop. Popped out long to Noguero. Lets it fly. And that does it for the end of the first half. But after Georgia Tech could never quite find its rhythm in Chestnut Hill, Nell Fortner's team, a 41-point first half and a 25-point lead over the Furman Paladins. 11 points from Bianca Jackson, some withering defense along the way. And Georgia Tech up big through 20 minutes against Furman. Stay with us. Our halftime coverage begins following this.
And it's going to be key to see if Georgia Tech can keep up that energy they had in the first half and, continue with the momentum they have to increase this lead or, continue to play solid defense against Furman so they don't get opportunities to score. But that was a great steal right there.
And sloppy pass as Jackson tried to thread the needle. Right out of the holiday break, Georgia Tech jumps back into ACC play by welcoming in Florida State. James finds her spot. Can't drop it in. Tough rebound, Morgan. Tonie Morgan in that first half, how about 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and she takes it coast to coast for a chance at a three-point play.
Oh, man, that was a heads-up move. She realized that no one was stopping her when she was dribbling up court and just decided, I see an opening, I'm going to take it. Nice finish for the freshman. Count it in the and one.
Foul is on James, her second. Tonie Morgan ranked as high as the number 24 prospect nationally out of high school, according to ESPN Hoop Girls. And she makes it a 29-point Georgia Tech lead. Furman has numbers off the press break. And they will instead reset to Alton, who's held in check because of foul trouble in the first half. Janae Alton had 7 assists, no turnovers in that win over Radford. She's 12th in the nation in assist-to-turnover ratio. Very good job orchestrated this Paladin offense as Acker will go to the line on the foul.
Yeah, Alton is incredible and with her assist-to-turnover ratio, but she does a great job, like you said, of taking care of the basketball. And, she is a pass-first, shoot-second type of ball player for this Furman club. She wants to see her team get in their offensive sets and likes to set up her teammates.
Jalen Acker nestles the first free throw away, and Furman's leading score was bottled up in the first half. Just 2 points on 1 of 6 shooting. She played all but 1 minute of that overtime win versus Radford. Misses on the second. And a career-high 22 points, 6 threes when Furman played the Georgia Bulldogs earlier this year. Oz on the step out against Van Rye. Morgan knifing to the rim and draws the foul. There's that burst you were talking about with Tonie Morgan.
She has it. And, just in that zone, Furman was playing a zone matchup in this one, and she breaks between the zone, gets to the lane, and almost knocks down the reverse, gets fouled. But that was a great athletic move by the freshman. And we were just talking about how she may be working towards a triple-double but didn't have the points. She comes out in the second half active.
And she pins a third foul on Jalen Acker, the Paladins' leading scorer. I guess the bounce on the second. Her season high was 17 points versus USF. Out and up ahead to James. Rolling across the lane on Warren Adenaz. It's cleaned up by Van Rye.
And Van Rye was just in the right position at the right time to get that offensive putback.
Jackets again, coast to coast. And this time it's Swartz with the finish.
The Euro step. Swartz gets to the basket with the lay-in, and now wide open again for Van Rye. Bad transition defense for Georgia Tech.
Boy, time to wring out your neck, Palin. We are going end to end here to begin the third quarter. Gives Grace Van Rye 6 points. Jackson gets the blow-by. Tries to follow her own miss. It's instead pulled away by Session. Furman's leading rebounder. And pass across the paint. Too hot for Van Rye to handle. Goes to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, out, and that was a tough pass. Van Rye didn't even have good positioning. Was trying to seal off Swartz. Swartz did a good job getting back to cause that turnover.
And a rare giveaway by Janae Alton. Like we said, 12th nationally in assist-to-turnover ratio. Opening minutes of our second half. Jack has been in command throughout. Swartz darting to the foul line and knocks it down.
That was a great job. We said early on in that first half the three wasn't going down like she would have liked, but being intentional and taking a couple of dribbles and hitting that mid-range jump shot.
Still 6th in the ACC in scoring. And we have a technical foul called. As we take another look at Swartz's bucket. And a technical foul, I believe, called on the Furman bench. So it'll send Swartz to the line.
Yeah, this has been a pretty intense game. Coach Carson wanted to see more from her team, but doesn't like some of the calls that have been made by the refs as well.
And you send Swartz, an 85% free throw shooter, to the line. She's made 29 of her last 31.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
She's used to filling it up. We saw that at Boston College. Nell Fordner got a little too up close a view of her scoring ability a couple of times that Cam Swartz played Georgia Tech, and she told us before the season that about 10 minutes after her name appeared in the transfer portal, they reached out to her because, as Nell said, she always killed us. Swartz on the handle against Session. Jackson knocks it down.
I tell you, somebody got in the gym after that last game, and it's been nothing but bottoms for Jackson this game. She has been on point with her shot for this one.
Give Bianca Jackson 15 to lead the way for the Jackets as Morgan snatches it under the basket. Ahead to Swartz. On the spin baseline. Good job to stay down in front of her by Outen. Morgan, pick and roll. Won Adanaz, took an extra step.
She did, and that was a good look by Morgan. Won Adanaz, I don't think she knew what to do when she got that basketball in the paint. She should have just gone up and shot it, but instead gets called for the travel.
It was nice work of the pick and roll, but it was, let's credit Furman as well. Good recovery defense because they forced that travel on Won Adanaz.
They did, and that was good help.
She comes out, and Hermosa takes her spot. 7-0 Georgia Tech run. Jumper by Session, no good. Love the rebound. Jackson sailing in, whipping it to Swartz. A little bit of an awkward catch, else he would have rained it from three. Jackson's had the hot hand. Explodes past her man. Drops it off for Hermosa, but she short arms it. Oh, but it's pulled away by Love.
And that's a good job. Heads up play by Love, staying with it. Was able to get a steal and then get an easy look at the basket.
Now, Aaliyah Love has perhaps not had the start to her junior season that she had thought, but a double-digit score a season ago. She will still have a lot of value for the Yellow Jackets as they roll through ACC play. Nice runner inside the paint by Outen.
Yeah, that was a good play by Outen, but going back to Aaliyah Love, Georgia Tech's going to need her come time for ACC play, so it'll be good if she can start to get a rhythm in this game right before they continue against Florida State.
Ceded some of her minutes to Caleb Blackshear, but Aaliyah Love still somebody who had 26 points in an overtime win versus Clemson a season ago. And you know there is no substitute for the confidence of knowing you can score at high-level ACC play. And Aaliyah Love has proven that she can do that.
She can. It was their best three-point shooter a season ago. So I know Coach Fordner is still trying to work the kinks with Aaliyah Love with her confidence on the offensive end, but she just needs to continue to work and keep going.
She fumbles the exchange with Morgan there, but she's able to recover. Foul was the third on Session. Skip pass was batted by Van Rye. Active hands by Grace Van Rye leads to the Furman turnover.
Good pressure by Georgia Tech. Furman trying to see if they can set something up in their offensive set off a screen.
Use the double drag on Outen. The reversal to Session. Shot clock at 5. James with a foot on the line, no good. Offensive rebound, and the reverse falls by Acker, scored and won. And she needed to get that up quick. The shot clock was on the brink of expiration, and that shot from James did not draw a rim, so a terrific play by Acker.
Yeah, that was a big-time play by the freshman. She was able to get that reverse layup and get it in.
Worth another look. 4:30 third quarter. We're back after this. Jackets up by 32 over the Paladins midway through the third quarter, and Bianca Jackson has to like what she's seeing on the tablet. Her and Cam Swartz, after they were held to a combined 2 of 22 in their ACC opening loss to Boston College today, 10 of 21. And they combined have outscored the entire Paladins team.
Yeah, no, they needed Jackson and Swartz to have a big game. Tech did this afternoon after that showing against BC a couple of nights ago. But so far, they're doing it. And doing it well in this one, playing consistently like they have been all season long besides the game against BC.
They're not forcing their shots either.
No.
Sometimes you want to shoot your way out of a slump, and you just have to sometimes let the game come to you as Furman throws on some full court trap, and Georgia Tech able to beat it following the Acker free throw. Now need to beat the 10 count. They just barely do. Jackets shooting 50% for the game, 20 of 40. And they've meanwhile held the Paladins to 26%. Here's Morgan. No good from three. Dunn swoops in for the rebound. Jackson with 15 points. Stacks up a screen from Hermosa. Shot clock winding down. The step back over Van Rye, and she draws the foul.
And that was a good job. Jackson saw she had Van Rye against her after the switch. One-on-one. Knew the shot clock was winding down and decided to make a move and gets fouled on the play.
That's a fourth foul on Grace Van Rye. That was an in-your-bag type of dribble and pull-up by Bianca Jackson, would you say?
Yeah, that was a heads-up play. I mean, the 6-year senior, she knew exactly what she was doing on that one and just played the odds, and it worked in her favor.
Closing in on 1,000 career points. And her career at South Carolina. She was part of a Final Four team and made SEC All-Freshman across 2 seasons in Columbia, then transferred to Florida State. So no stranger to the Yellow Jackets, albeit in a different uniform choice. And a 2-of-2 trip for Bianca Jackson. Her mom, Frida Freeman Jackson, in her 25th season as head coach of Alabama State. Got quite the basketball pedigree.
Right, that's a long time to be coaching or at the helm for Alabama State, but then to be a coach's daughter for Bianca Jackson. I mean, I know she's gotten a lot of information and some coaching over the years.
Out took a tumble, fouled by Hermosa. Yeah, whether she knew it or not, she's been a part of the college program since she came out the womb. Hermosa picks up her first, and Janae Allen, the sophomore from Fort Myers, Florida, toe the nail. Janae Allen following her older sister, Jariah, played at Furman for 4 years.
And Allen, not much time in that first half due to foul trouble. And the second half, she's making her presence known, been very active in trying to either set up her teammates or find ways to score for this Furman team.
Trying to hassle the Jackets in the backcourt. Morgan beats the press. No looks into Hermosa, was a little behind her. She recovers and can't stick it in. And it's last tipped by Morgan. Furman ball. Morgan will get a breather as Albiance Carter takes her spot. Do you think Tonie Morgan, even though sometimes as a freshman you like to be somewhat deferential in the open court, were you to do it again, would Morgan have gone all the way in?
She probably should have gone all the way in, especially with that pass being so late. But, you know, she's trying to get acclimated. She's going to have a lot of point guard responsibilities during her time here at Georgia Tech, so she still has to figure out her teammates and how to make the better pass.
The Jackets have been sharing the ball exceptionally well today. 17 assists on 20 made field goals. As Hermosa can't reward Jackson with the assist there. Little off the mark. Rebound Furman.
But that was a nice in-and-out play. Good look by Jackson when she saw that Hermosa had the position. Hermosa just couldn't finish and connect.
Session with a foot on the line. Off the mark. Slapped out wide. Collected by Acker. And a foul called on Carter. She was trying to rip that ball loose. Albiance Carter second. Team's fourth of the quarter.
And Furman still being very active on these offensive boards. And their offensive sets, they look a little stagnant. Probably need some more movement to get some openings and some cuts. But you got to applaud Georgia Tech has been intentional defensively this game and has made it difficult for Furman to try and score in the paint.
One of my favorite quotes of the year was uttered by Jackie Carson when we caught up with her yesterday. Of course, a prolific rebounder in her day at Furman. But she said, rebounding is my love language.
Love it.
If you rebound for me, you're going to be on the floor.
And sometimes you have to know that. You got to, butter your coach's bread sometimes and pay attention to what they like and what they look for.
That'll also endear you to Coach Carson. The steal by Acker is stripped right back. A scramble for it. And it trickles free to the Jackets. And now a 2-on-1. Jackson with Won-Adanaz running. Give and go. Won-Adanaz to Jackson.
I love it. Won-Adanaz is turned up. She gets an assist off that pass to Jackson. Nice finish.
19 points for Bianca Jackson. Maybe the prettiest dish of the career of Aisha Won-Adanaz.
And a steal.
Yeah, poke that ball right out of the hands of Kate Johnson, the Canton, Georgia native. Dunn sailing in down the baseline, no good. Grabs her own miss. Got smothered over the top, though, by James. I'd say that give and go is worth another look.
It is worth another look. And nice pass to Jackson. Won-Adanaz like, I'm going to dish it right back with the finish and the lay-in. Nice 2-on-1 game. Forced the Furman player to go back and forth, and Jackson able to get the open look and finish.
Aisha Won-Adanaz from Pamplona, Spain.
And since she's been in this starting lineup for Georgia Tech, we've seen what she's capable of doing, been very active, and just has been pretty solid for Georgia Tech as a post player in this lineup.
Dawn missed badly, was fighting for her own miss. Out of bounds, it goes to Furman. Yeah, Aisha Won-Adanaz, a fifth straight start for her. And she's never going to be somebody who fills up the scoring column, but Nell Fortner likes the other ways that she positively influences a game.
She does. And, she doesn't need touches, but she's going to play defense and rebound. And those are things that Coach Fortner needs, especially from our post players, as they continue to play tough teams in competition in ACC play.
Defending in the post on Whitaker. Blocks her once, can't the second time, and Kate Whitaker with a chance for a three-point play.
And what a job by Kate Whitaker to stay with that. Won-Adanaz gets the block, but she's able to corral the block shot and get it back and goes up strong with the finish. And that's the type of play you need from your post players. Just keep at it. Don't be deflated because you get blocked. Just keep playing and see what you can make happen.
Katie Whitaker, the 6'5" sophomore, like you said, keep it after him. Her first bucket of the night. Making a three-point trip for her. Ines Noguero in for Carter, and she handles out high. Blackshear down the baseline, got blocked. Nice first step, a good recovery under the basket.
Yeah, that was great recovery by Acker. She was right there as she saw Blackshear come into the basket and got a hand on the basketball as Blackshear was trying to go up.
Noguero lines it up, knocks it down.
She takes good shots, and when she has her opportunities, she tends to knock them down.
The upcourt pass overthrown for Whitaker, a Furman turnover. Ines Noguero up to 5 points. The freshman from Gijón, Spain.
You see Jackson get that basketball between three Furman players.
And another quarter where Georgia Tech imprints its will, but that has not been the case for Georgia Tech. A 64-32 lead over Furman as we begin the fourth quarter. Tech's season high in points was in their last home game, 71 versus Central Michigan. Already 7 points shy of that with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, they've played well offensively in this one, and we talked about it. I think it's with the sharing of the basketball. The assists have been incredible in this game for Georgia Tech, and it's given players that normally may not get looks opportunities of scoring and getting to the basket.
Freshman Raven Boswell in for the first time for the Yellow Jackets. Acker hedged on the screen. Drops it down to shoot. Whitaker took a hit and draws the foul.
Whitaker's coming here. He's just been active. Has great size at 6'5", but is very mobile. Moves her feet well and gives herself good positioning for offensive rebounds and to get touches in the paint.
Had a nice three-point play in the final minutes of the third quarter. The sophomore from Rochester, New York. Paladins, though, just 5 of 11 at the free throw line. They came in 73%, so they've shot the ball well. But sometimes when you're facing a ferocious defensive team like Georgia Tech, is that pass intercepted by Kalia. Shovels to Session for the lane.
And that's a good job.
Yeah.
That's a great job right there. You see what this press is doing for Furman. It's causing or creating opportunities and steals.
Just getting back to that point, I think you can speak to this. You face a really tight defensive team. You're so worn down by it, but even when you have an unguarded shot from 15 feet, you just don't have that same accuracy.
You don't. When you're having to break through a press or pressure defense or just tough defense all game long to get looks, it will tire you out. And, you know, when you have an open look, you're probably like, thank goodness. And then you still shoot it short.
Foul is the third on Sydney James, first of the quarter. Georgia Tech had to say goodbye to Lorella Kubai, a two-time ACC Defensive Player of the Year. And there's 2 more for Bianca Jackson, up to 21 points. I think the conventional wisdom, Fallon, as Whitaker can't finish in transition, the conventional wisdom is that Georgia Tech may take a step back defensively, yet you look at them, 15th nationally in field goal percentage defense. They're 7th nationally in three-point percentage defense. Different roster, different personnel, but still, they make that half court a very razor-wired place for opponents.
They do. And they play good team defense. They know how to shift, rotate. They still switch on screens. A nice hit.
Raven Boswell. Well, it always looks good coming from the left hand, does it not?
It does. And she's like, let me get in this box score since everybody is having a shot party today. But as you were just saying, with Georgia Tech's defense, the loss to Lorella Kubai and Lotnan, you know, from a season ago. Lotnan 2 seasons ago was leading the ACC in steals. So they were very capable, but they have the athleticism and the personnel in order to play solid defense and continue the trend with this squad this year.
You see another example of good defense by the freshman Nowera with the block on Kalia. Tonie Morgan re-enters, replacing Jackson. Probably the last we'll see of Bianca Jackson, and if so, what a bounce back for her. 21 points after the scoreless night at BC.
And it's good to see that. She needed this before they get back into ACC play against her former team, Florida State, right? It's like 2 homecomings back-to-back to start ACC play, but she needed to get her rhythm before the Christmas break.
And Cam Swartz had her homecoming game against Boston College. Whitaker had it jostled free by Harrison and last off the Paladins.
And even though Harrison, we haven't seen her get a lot of minutes the last few games, she's going to be somebody that I think Coach Fortner is going to look to come ACC play with her tough defense and good size and athleticism.
And just somebody who can give you a few active minutes off the bench. Done no good. There's Harrison for the rebound. Jackets defeated the Paladins last year, 63-36. It was the first time, believe it or not, that they had met since 1994, now meeting in back-to-back seasons. And this one going the way of last season at McCamish.
And this is a good opportunity for Furman to play against an ACC caliber opponent, but it's just going to prepare them so they're better prepared come conference play in the Southern Conference.
High up on the loose ball. It'll stay with Georgia Tech. That was a nifty dribble drive by Morgan.
It was. She just shot it too hard off that backboard. But she's been showing her athleticism all game long, and it's just impressive that she's able to get the rebounds and assists. The scoring will come, but she has a lot of the intangibles that you want to see in your point guard. And as she continues to grow and feel comfortable within this offense, she's going to just continue to get better.
Harrison sledgehammered away under the basket. And the first bucket for Carmen Harrison.
Yeah, Harrison, I mean, she just has great body size, body definition, and is so strong. And can find ways to get an easy look or finished at the basket, but I just like her defensive play and her rebounding.
She got a piece of that pull-up from James, but the reverse drops in. Sydney Ryan snaps a 7-0 Georgia Tech run. Last year, Georgia Tech held Furman to its season low in shooting percentage, 24%. Paladins trending at 27% right now. Morgan for three. That's the one element of her game that Nell Forder wants to see improve, because right now she told us teams are not honoring Morgan's outside shot, even though Nell has told us she's got a nice pull-up.
Right.
But needs to have the confidence to shoot that in rhythm and with confidence on a more consistent basis.
And she'll get there. That's just with more repetition and work, especially in the offseason when she gets a full summer of being able to work out with this team, this coaching staff, the strength and conditioning coaches, everything just to improve her game.
Foul on the way in. They'll tag Boswell for it. Jalen Acker trying to create some offense. Been a struggle for Jalen Acker, Furman's leading scorer, just 2 of 10 from the field. She's missed all 6 of her threes. Transfer from Cal Baptist. You wonder how on earth did somebody from Richfield, Wisconsin wind up at Cal Baptist, which is no slight at all to Cal Baptist. But Jackie Carson told us the story that a couple of her AAU teammates were already at Cal Baptist. They kind of had formed a pipeline with her AAU program in Wisconsin to that program. But
wow.
Jackie Carson had recruited Jalen Acker out of high school. Did not play last year at Cal Baptist, a true redshirt.
And she's normally a good shooter. Georgia Tech's just done a good job this afternoon at defending her and been intentional. She's Furman's leading scorer, so you have to locate her and defend her well.
She will have a lot of good nights in her still young Furman career. And there is that pull-up we were talking about from Tonie Morgan.
And like, she has that in her game. The three-point shot will come. You know, she does have to be conscientious as she gets into conference play that teams will sag off of her because they're not going to hold her to be able to consistently knock down that three-point shot.
Kalia right over Morgan. She just dared her to shoot.
She did. She dribbled right to her and just shot it.
Paraskevy Kalia, junior from Athens, Greece. Started the first 4 games for Coach Carson. Jackets have a season-high 73 points, and they'll look to add to it at the line as Boswell draws the foul. Takes us to our final timeout of regulation. It's been all Georgia Tech. They have been pouring it on from the opening tip against the Paladins. We'll be back after this. Georgia Tech on top of Furman, 73-39. Yellow Jackets have had 8 straight winning seasons, Fallon, but the free throw line has been a stressful experience. They set the school record back in the 2015-16 season. You look at where the Jackets have resided since then. But this year, 77.4%, which is on pace for a program record, and 14 of 17 tonight. And we'll see how alive that broadcaster jinx everyone talks about is. With Raven Boswell at the line. Don't put that one on my tab.
Well, she's keeping it going. And, you know, Georgia Tech, that has been like their Achilles heel the last few seasons. They have not been a good free throw shooting team. Friendly roll, not this time. But that's something that's going to carry them on come conference play, because you know it's going to be a lot of close games in the ACC, and free throw shooting is something that you definitely need when you go down the home stretch.
Even with that miss, Tech 15 of 19, a hair under 79%. Boy, those free throw trips found, they gave you heartburn, they gave you nightmares, they gave you all sorts of stress the last several years as Harrison shoots the gap, punches it out.
Yeah, especially when Georgia Tech was in close games. You look back and see the number of free throws that they had missed, and you were like, that could have changed the tides of the game right there. But, you know, it's never one single thing that wins or loses a game for you. But free throws are so important.
There's a throwaway off the inbound. Turnover is Furman's 17th of the day. Jackets with Morgan, Noero, Carter, Harrison, and Boswell. As the ball slips through Harrison's hands for a Georgia Tech turnover. Final 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. As the Jackets will improve to 9-3. Return to ACC play on New Year's Day at home when they take on Florida State. Next ACC game is in Charlottesville, December the 29th, against a surprise Virginia team.
Yeah, no, Virginia has come out this season and is playing well, especially after the struggles a season ago. New coach at the helm, and they're really producing for that UVA ball club this season.
Kennedy Greer subs in for the first time. Junior from Charlotte replaces Acker. Yeah, just getting started in the ACC. It's going to be top-heavy, but, you know, the strength of conferences is so much made in the middle, and that's where it's going to be really exciting. That was an exciting pass to Noredo.
Yeah, that was a nice 2-on-1, two-man game, and Noredo able to finish at the rim. She's had a solid game this afternoon for Georgia Tech coming off the bench.
The assist was from Tonie Morgan, man. Tonie Morgan filling up the stat sheet. That's 8 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists for the freshman.
Not too far off from that triple-double, even if she doesn't get it this afternoon.
There she is on the take to the rim. Leaves it short. There's a rebound. Still up for grabs. And we'll have a tie-up. Georgia Tech keeps it on the arrow.
And I like the fact that Coach Fortner has kept Tonie Morgan in. Give her some reps running that point. And she's doing a solid job. Like, the assists and the rebounds are there. She is an active player. The scoring will come, but she does a lot of the intangibles that you need from your point guard or any guard who's on your team.
Flip the arrow, Furman possession. But you're right, Morgan, third on the team in scoring, but she will shoulder a lot of responsibility for a true freshman navigating ACC play. When you can surround her with shooters like Swartz and Jackson, veterans like Hermosa and Alili Love, she's not going to be necessarily what makes this team go, but she can unlock a lot of potential in this offense with her ability to bring a consistent floor game every night.
Right. And you know she's going to play hard. She's going to play tough-nosed defense. And those are things you can't teach.
Petro can't come to a stop on the baseline. Inside of 2 minutes. Boswell pulls the trigger again.
That shot is pretty.
Now she missed on the last possession from that same spot. You know she wanted it back.
Like, let me see if I can do it this time. The lefty, nothing but net.
Second three for Raven Boswell. Give her 7. Jackets led by 21 from Bianca Jackson, 11 from Cam Swartz. The rebound and the run out Morgan. She's got Noredo. She will take it in with one hand and one. Wow.
And that's that athleticism. She can sky. We talked about it earlier. If she should have dished it or gone to the basket herself, and this time she decided to keep it. Had the 2-on-1, but decided to one-hand it, lay it in, and draw the foul. The concentration and the stability she has to sky in the air like that with the finish is rare to see in a freshman.
Well, you might want to buy your Tonie Morgan stock now. That gives her a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds, and those 8 assists.
Yeah, we may have called it and talked it up. She's pretty close to that triple-double.
Converts on the and one. Yeah, you got to find 2 assists in 86 seconds. That might be a little tough. There have been 3 triple-doubles in Georgia Tech school history, in case you were wondering.
3, okay. I know a couple of those players, maybe.
You would have had one if the coaches kept you in long enough. Offensive foul against the Paladins.
He used to tell me I didn't pass it enough. I know 2 of my teammates. I want to say Milagro Martinez, Alex Stewart. I think they had triple-doubles while I was here, but that's been some years ago.
Keisha Ford also had a triple-double in her Georgia Tech days.
K4-5, you know, anytime. She was filling up the box score.
Boswell, nice stutter step. Took a hit, gets it back, can't cash in on the stick back. Now, Nell Fortner hoped to see a more disciplined team, a team that didn't foul as much, that got back in defensive transition, that made the right reads on offense. And I think Georgia Tech checked all of those boxes fairly well. Nice lay-in by Kawila.
They did. I mean, the level of competition is going to continue to get tough as they get into conference play, but you need to go back to the drawing board and see what you need to do, the intangibles, so you can have that once you get into conference play. And I think that's exactly what Georgia Tech and Nell Fortner's team did this afternoon.
Now, meanwhile, for Furman, this is still a team that is picked in the upper echelon of the Southern Conference. They will have a lot of nights where they will be a force in the SoCon. Just never quite materialized today against the Yellow Jackets, but Jackie Carson's team just so consistent year in and year out. And they will still be a force come conference play. Anissa Clark for three. Oh, no, Arrow under the basket, playing volleyball with herself. Final seconds of this one from McCamish. And that'll do it. Jackets double up the Paladins. A season-high 82 points for Nell Fortner's team, as they brush off that loss in Chestnut Hill with their highest scoring total since mid-February of last season. They needed overtime for that one against the Clemson Tigers. Only needed 40 minutes to ring up